did you ever reach out to the people who left a 1-star review and ask them to change it?
I've never asked anyone to change it because the brands that I've worked with, it's kind of in some of their ethical language not to do that.
Okay.
But I've always approached it with, if I could contact them, what can I do to potentially make them want to do it, to change it? And I have had that happen, you know. But I've never asked someone to, hey, would you change your review?
Hey there, hot messes. Welcome to Success of a Hot Mess, where we celebrate the art of juggling life's chaos and coming out on top. I'm Stacey Isaacs, your host and resident rock star lawyer, dance mom, and survivor. We're going to dive into candid conversations about conquering challenges, embracing our unique selves, and finding success in the beautiful mess of it all. Good afternoon, Ryan.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, Success of a Hot Mess. Today I'm going to be chatting with Ryan Minton. Do you prefer to be called Charles or Ryan?
Ryan.
Okay.
Definitely Ryan.
Ryan's the middle name, though, right?
Ryan's the middle name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan is a keynote speaker and the author of Thanks for Coming In Today. I really like your shirt.
Thank you. Thought I'd represent today.
Yes. So kind of a funny story how we even met. I was researching how to improve our client journey at my law firm, Work Injury Rights. And I just wanted to read as much as I could about customer service and how to deliver excellent customer service. And I literally, it was either Google or Amazon, and your book came up. And I bought it. Thanks for coming in today. And I found it to be, out of all the books that I had read and the seminars I went to, the most relatable, practical manual on how to deliver good customer service.
Wow, thank you.
Right. So I think I reached you via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And asked if you would come speak to the firm, which you did. But why don't you take us back to how your whole journey in customer service began?
Well, the cool part of that story is that we didn't realize that we were right down the road from each other.
Right. I thought I had to fly in this big guest.
Yeah.
Right.
So we were practically neighbors. But, it's funny. I went to school for journalism. I had this dream of being a news anchor.
So did I. Same
I
dream.
think we talked about that. And so I have a degree in journalism, but all through high school and college, I was working at a theme park. And I just loved that job. I loved going to work every day. I loved the customer service side of it. And so I interned at a Fox affiliate my senior year of college, and I hated it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I have a degree in something that I don't think I actually like. But I knew I loved my job at the theme park.
In fairness, people at a theme park are very happy.
For the most part, they should be, exactly. And the newsroom is honestly one of the most dreadful places I've ever been. It really is. I mean, there's a reason why people say for headlines, if what do they say? If it bleeds, it leads.
Okay.
So it's just, the newsroom environment is not typically a place where there's a lot of positive stories.
Right. It's tense.
Yeah. So that kind of led me into this road of like, where can I go to make a career out of this? And I found myself in the hotel business, and I just really started at a front desk at a Marriott and worked my way up to eventually becoming a vice president of a very respected hotel management company. And along the way, just had a lot of success in going into hotels and turning them around, which is ultimately what led me to write the book.
And I think if I remember correctly, the Marriott in Ohio where you went was like nobody really knew about that Marriott, right? And then you got there and turned around the culture, and it became this well-known.
Well, yes. It used to be when I started at that hotel, it was very well known for service.
Okay.
But I had the opportunity to come back to be the general manager several years later, and it had really kind of crashed and burned. And so I had an opportunity to really come in and turn it around and get it back to where it used to be. And when I talk about that particular property and that turnaround, what I like to focus on is, that Marriott was competing with the same Marriotts all across the country. The ones here in Florida and Arizona, very nice locations. And here was this hotel in northern Cincinnati on I-75. Literally, half the hotel windows, you looked out and you saw a electrical tower and an IKEA and a
Right.
couple, fast food joints. And so the point when I talk about that is really, it really isn't, when you talk about customer experience, you don't have to have the best location. You don't have to have the nicest product all the time, which is nice to have. It's always good to have. But really, at the end of the day, it's about the people inside that make a difference in your customer experience. And so, in my career, that's really been my experience, is that I can go into a location and I don't really care so much if it's, not the best product or the best shape. I feel pretty confident if we get the right people in place and understanding what it is that we want to do in terms of service, we can provide a great customer experience.
So do you think you could, take a Motel 6 and...
Well, look, come on, I can't make miracles happen. No. Yeah, actually, I do think that with the right people, you really can make any location, any type of business known for service. Because, it's important. I talk about this a lot. I think I talked about it with your team. There's a difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is the action. Customer service is the physical things that we do in our businesses, whether we're answering a phone or answering an email, sending someone an invoice, the task. All those things put together create the experience, and how the customer ultimately leaves you and how they feel about their time with you is their experience. And so, to your question, I would say, yeah, you can make a Motel 6 have a great customer experience if the guest leaves feeling like they had a great experience with the people that were running the hotel.
Yeah, and this goes, I want to make sure listeners know your book, the tenets in there, they apply not just to hotels. This goes from every industry. I mean, mine's a law firm, but this would apply to a restaurant, a skincare company. And now I'm so much more attuned to the level of customer service I'm being given when I am somewhere. And I think customer service is almost dead. I don't know why. It seems like a post-COVID thing. Do you think it's lack of manpower? Like, why, if I go to Walmart, does no one know where to direct me if I ask? Like, they literally say, I don't know.
We could do a whole show on this. It's funny. Last night I went to a pet store. My son's 3, and we really wanted to get him a beta fish. So it would be his first pet.
Yeah, I did the whole beta fish thing.
And, we went there, and they only had one fish left. And it was very important to my wife that it was a purple fish, and they only had a black fish. So we didn't get the fish, and so I went up to the young lady working, and I said, when do you get your fish shipment in? I'm assuming they come. She didn't know. She didn't really want to make any effort to find out. And she handed me a business card, and she said, you can call the store and just find out.
Because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so strange. I'm like, well, but I'm here, and you're here. Like, someone has to have this information that would help me as a customer. The bar for customer service is low. And that's why I tell clients that I work with that it isn't very difficult for you to set yourself apart and be known for customer experience, because the bar is low. One of my favorite icons for customer experience is the founder of Ritz-Carlton, Horst Schultz, and he I watched an interview he did, and Ritz-Carlton is the standard in a lot of people's eyes for service And you'll hear people say all the time they want to be the Ritz-Carlton of their industry. And so the interviewer asked, what does it take to be known for service like the Ritz-Carlton? And he said, well, you just need to be consistently better than average. And the interviewer asked him, well, how much better? What does it take? And he said, just be 10% better than average, and you will be known for service. And when you really think about that, that's not that hard.
No,
that should not be
not
that difficult. And so I've really latched onto that, and I think that's a very, very true statement, a very true approach, is that the key to it, I think, aside from just being 10% better than average, is the consistency part, is being consistent in your service. And, that part can be hard, but it's very attainable.
Well, for a smaller company, my law firm, it is attainable. But I remember reaching out to you. I had terrible service at a Marriott.
Yeah, that's right.
In the state. Mm-hmm. I mean, bad from check-in to getting to the room. All of it was just horrible. And I asked you, who should I contact? I reached out to that person. I never got a response. I then wrote a review. No response to the review. I mean, how is it nobody cares?
Yeah, that's a great question. That unfortunately tells me that there aren't folks there that care, and ultimately that has to be impacting their business. It just has to. You're telling me about it. You've told others about it. You've left a review, and that absolutely is impacting someone's decision to stay or not stay at that location. And
right.
that's the casualty.
Yeah. And they do have a magnificent location. They probably just rely on that, and they don't have to go the extra mile. But that customer service is something, as a law firm, that we really wanted to improve, because people are calling when they're stressed out, they're injured. It was very important to me that we left them with an experience that was pleasant. Like you said right before we got on the podcast, you have some PTSD from an
right.
encounter that you had with an attorney.
Yeah.
So I strive for the opposite. You want people to have as pleasant as it can be in a lawsuit. And I found your book, extremely helpful. What is your next book about?
So the next book, I don't have a title yet. I'm still shopping some titles. It will be out first quarter, but it's a positive leadership book, and it really kind of builds on what's in the first book, which is really how important it is to take care of the people that take care of the customer. If you really want ultimately great customer experience, great service, it is ground zero for me. It is mission critical that the people that are providing it have to genuinely enjoy coming to work. And so the second book is really for leaders. And one of the things that I really think I feel so strongly about is, if you are given the responsibility to manage, whether it's one person or 100 or 1,000, I just think that is a privilege. I think that is a gift in life, that you are put in a place to impact another person's day, their 8 to 10 hours a day. And so to me, that is a privilege that should be taken seriously. It's a responsibility. And why not make those 8-10 hours a day for people the best part of their day? The part that, so many people dread going to work. So many people dread their job. And if you're in a business that provides service, if those folks that are coming to work dread their job, they don't look forward to coming to work, they don't like their boss, that is going to be felt on the outside. What's happening on the inside is going to be felt on the outside by the customer. So the next book is really kind of focusing more in on that approach to positive leadership.
That's interesting. And do you do coaching for leaders?
I do, yeah.
Okay. And how do those programs, is it a certain amount of sessions?
It's really just kind of adapts to what the person is looking for. I have coaching with some leaders that's just one-on-one, and others it's more organizational.
What would you advise any business owner to do when there is a customer or client that seemingly cannot be satisfied? Like where it gets to the point where this person is complaining, cursing at the staff. Like at what point do you just give up?
That's a great question. So I often will pose a question to an audience: do you believe the customer is always right? And half the room will say, yeah, because that's what we've always heard, right? The customer is always right. And I don't subscribe to that. I don't think the customer is always right, but the customer is always the customer.
Right.
And so how we interact with the customer that's not happy, I think is very different than how we interact with a customer that's disrespectful. And I just won't tolerate it. And actually, funny enough, my lens on this, I think, has changed a little bit since COVID, and I actually have a whole chapter on it in my new book about how, as leaders, I think we have to step up for our people that are getting mistreated on the front lines by customers. It's not okay anymore. In fact, I'm making it a mission in my life to level up the respect that we give as a society to people that provide us customer service. Why do we mistreat people that give us a cup of coffee? Like, we need that cup of coffee. Like Starbucks, like we're addicted to Starbucks, but yet you'll see people just absolutely just be so awful to that person. I just wrote an article for Forbes. It's going to come out right before Black Friday. And it's about an experience I just had at Palm Beach Airport flying out. And it literally happened, and I was like, I got to write about this. And basically the article is going to be about reminding consumers as we go into the holiday season that the people that we're going to be out shopping, and we're shopping and we're going to restaurants, the people that are servicing us, the amount of stress that they're going to be under, because this is the busiest time of the year. There's a reason why it's Black Friday, right? Businesses move into the black. And so the incident that happened at the airport was a red-eye flight, and there's a line at Starbucks, and the espresso machine is down. And so they only could offer you just normally brewed coffee and iced coffee. And the
anger,
disgust and the anger that was coming out of some of these customers towards the poor barista in the cash register, as if they personally broke the machine, right? And it's like, these poor folks, they want the machine to be working just as badly as the customer does. And so it really prompted me to write this article that, we have to remember the people that are servicing us are people. Mm-hmm. They're humans, right? They're somebody's mom, they're somebody's dad, their brother, sister, son, daughter. Like, why are we not showing the level of respect that I think these folks deserve? And so I'm not real sure how we got to this point in the conversation, what your question was, but I'm really passionate about that. I'm really passionate about taking care of those folks that are taking care of the customers.
I agree with you, but what I am seeing, I will pay for something, not even a thank you. Somebody hands me a receipt.
Yep.
I will not even get a hello. And I have a problem with that because simultaneously they want me to add a gratuity. Now you have to tip everyone. What are your thoughts on tipping someone who, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
it's
the clerk who's at the sub shop.
What's the phrase people are using? Tip fatigue, or there's another phrase that's being used a lot. But I agree. It's gotten a little out of hand. And what's happening is that, unfortunately, because there's a tip prompt everywhere you go, it's impacting the people that actually do deserve the tips.
Right.
For instance, hotel housekeepers and bellmen, the people that rely on tips, are no longer necessarily getting them because people are so exhausted from just being asked to get a tip. And so I think I think there could be. I think there's been a lot of backlash on this, and I don't know if it's going to have an impact and maybe come back a little. But it's to your point about the folks that you're encountering that are not providing great service. Yeah, that happens a lot, and I think that's when you run into that, there's a couple things at play there. One, there's probably not great leadership, and two, they haven't done a good job in hiring for that part, whatever it is.
It's generational, maybe, right?
There's some generational stuff that happens too. However, I will say, I was meeting with. Oh my goodness, what is his last name? Fox, I believe. Don Fox. I'm so sorry if that's not his last name, but his first name is definitely Don. He's a retired CEO of Firehouse Subs. And he was speaking at the same conference that I was speaking at 2 weeks ago. And I just happened to catch his talk. And he was talking about how he's kind of tired about hearing about this generation, because every generation says that, right? This generation is lazier and blah, blah, blah. And he said, he was like, no, maybe we just need to be better. Maybe we just need better leaders. Maybe we need to be adapting better to them. And I think, that was an interesting thought to like kind of think about, because, there's certainly soft skills that are not coming with the current generation. And that's why, and I think you and I have talked about this, I really believe you have to, if you're going to put someone on the front line, if you're going to put somebody that's interacting with a customer, one of the things I talk to clients all the time about is you have to teach them. You have to give them your basic expectations. You have to outline what are your expectations around service. Unfortunately, you do have to tell folks that they have to smile when someone walks in the door. You do have to tell them that when they answer the phone, they should sound happy. There should be a smile in their voice. Those kind of. So, when you encounter the opposite of that, I think that business or that organization has has failed in setting expectation, holding that person accountable to the expectation. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, right? The bar for service is low. And so that's where I guess the blessing is that those of us that want to actually care about service and provide great service,
we don't have to be that much
shine.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so used to terrible customer service, receiving it, that when I get good customer service, I am running to write a review. I just had a terrific experience with, it's a restaurant in Boca called the Farmer's Table.
I love the Farmer's Table.
So it was a private event that I had for my daughter, and they couldn't have made it easier.
Nice.
Literally, the banquet manager, she was helping me carry centerpieces.
Nice.
I mean, that's going above and beyond.
Did you get the cauliflower balls?
No.
Oh, you missed the best
No,
item
because
on the menu.
this was kind of no cauliflower balls, but we got salmon, and there was we got some cauliflower that was delicious.
They do a great
it was
job
like
there.
buffalo cauliflower. But if anyone ever has to have a private party there, they just made it so easy. Mm-hmm. And I ran and wrote a review, but it just seems like business owners don't even care about bad reviews.
The ones that are successful care, the ones that don't. And it's funny you say that. I talk about that all the time when I'm on the stage, that I kind of go into most customer service situations expecting, I wouldn't say the worst, but I don't expect much because of what we're talking about. And then when it's better, it's like, oh wow, like that was great,
Right.
I do. I kind of have a low bar for myself just when I go out now, because it's not typically great.
And for some reason, it seems like the pet stores, like the larger chains, because I've been in there. There's they're basically kids. They don't care. There's nobody to help you. I think you have to pretty much do self-checkout, which, by the way, I'm faster at self-checkout than some of the clerks in these places. But it's disappointing. I think they all need to read your book or have you come speak.
Well, I would love to do that.
So, and I know your wife has her own business as well. Do you help her with some of the customer service?
Yeah, we're new still. We're about 2 years old, Paradise Laser in Delray Beach, and I'm sure if you asked her, she would say that I need to do more. But we really do pride ourselves on the service that she provides, and it's all her. I cannot really take any credit. In fact, I was just sharing with a friend of mine. She has 50 5-star reviews. No, they're all 5-star, and they're legitimate. Like they're not organic. Like, hey, will you fill out my review?
Right.
But we talk about it a lot. Like she, in fact, we were on the way here. We were having a conversation about she wanted to move a client, and I was like, you can't do that. Like we can't like
move their time of day.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out something with our son, and I was like, it would be easy to move the client, and the client probably wouldn't care. But that's like we can't do that. We have to honor the client's time, and so we're always talking about like just what can we do to make sure that we're always providing that best experience.
And as a customer, like I don't really mind if someone calls, like let's say it's a doctor or something, and they have to move the appointment, as long as they're like nice about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But what would you say to, and I don't let people abuse my staff when it does get to that level. I let them withdraw from the case. But when I have to manage a client, they're just really aggressive, and if they're being nasty, how do you diffuse that?
So I think this might apply and work in most situations, but when I've had to deal with customers that are crossing a line, I give them the opportunity to I basically say, look, I'm not really sure why you're talking to me the way you are, because I'm actually the person that can help you. So we can start over and we can have a conversation. And I've said this before, like we can talk to each other like adults.
Do you say it in this calm tone when someone's cursing you off?
I try to keep it down to I mean, I can only think of 1 or 2 times in my career where I've probably got a little heated, and it was too, and then I probably was mad at myself for even
I've had that also.
allowing someone to get me there. We're all human, right? Like it happens. But I just don't think that we should have to tolerate that. I really don't. And I don't think that any business or sale or client or customer is worth having to go through that type of abuse for yourself, for your employees. And, sometimes the customer thinks they're, more important than they really are. I'm sure you've run into that.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's worth it. And I think it's okay to say, you know what, at this point, I'm gonna end the conversation. And if that means you hang up on them, you hang up on them. I've definitely done that.
But then they write a bad review.
And I talk about this in my first book. If you're providing great service, which I know you guys are, you're still going to get bad reviews. There are going to be folks that, for whatever reason, didn't like you, didn't like something that happened, and they're going to write a review. Your positive reviews are going to outweigh that review. And as long as I really am a big believer in responding to every review. I'm a very big believer in not going toe-to-toe with someone in a response. Even if they're 100% wrong, like I've read reviews where the business owner will respond and say something like, well, we actually have video footage that shows. Even though that may be true, I think it just comes off wrong for the business.
I think you're right.
And so in a hotel, having managed a dozen plus hotels at this point and thousands of employees and responded to thousands and thousands of reviews. I can tell you I've responded to hundreds of negative reviews. And I always typically say around the same thing, which is, I'm so sorry that we didn't meet. I'll typically say, I'm so sorry that what you experienced didn't line up with, our reputation or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I think that now, unless you're just not giving great service and you get a lot of bad reviews, then that's a whole different story. But I think if you have those one-offs, I think consumers are smart enough to see that and go, okay, that person was just unhappy or whatever. You can't make everyone happy.
No. Or did you ever reach out to the people who left a 1-star review and ask them to change it?
I've never asked anyone to change it because the brands that I've worked with, it's kind of in some of their ethical language not to do that.
Okay.
But I've always approached it with, if I could contact them, what can I do to potentially make them want to do it, to change it? And I have had that happen, But I've never asked someone to, hey, would you change your review?
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to the next book because I am a leader, and I would love to get more useful tidbits like I got from the first one.
Well, since we're neighbors, you're going to get invited to the book launch party.
Oh, excellent.
So, yeah.
And real quick,
maybe I'll have it at farmer's table.
You should ask for Geraldine.
Yeah.
Real quickly, can you tell us why you called the book Thanks for Coming In Today?
Well, that's you got to read the book. No, it's in the first chapter, but Thanks for Coming In Today is a way that I honor a really good friend of mine, Jason, who I worked with at that first hotel, Marriott. Jason, I was a front desk manager, and Jason was one of my employees, and he was unlike anyone I had ever worked with before, unlike anyone I really had ever met. And Jason would come to work every day with just like so much excitement. So he was just always so happy, and just a level of energy that was kind of unmatched. And whenever I tell the story, I always say, I always joke that I was pretty convinced Jason was, just drinking a pack of Red Bulls in the parking lot before he would come in for his shift, because he would just come in like that excited. And Jason would come up to me no matter where I was at the beginning of the shift, and he would give me this huge gripping handshake, and he'd say, "Ryan, thanks for coming in today." And it was really funny because, I'm his boss.
Right.
So, I should be thanking him, but he would thank me. And Jason would do this with everybody. And as I moved up in my career, so did Jason. So I had the opportunity to hire Jason as my front office manager when I was a general manager several years down the road. And same thing, came in, brought that level of energy, and it was infectious. It immediately impacted our customer service scores. It impacted the morale of the team. And that level of energy, that kind of positivity, and that's kind of some of the things I talk about in my new book, it impacts the culture. And it was only about 3 months after I hired Jason to be my front office manager, Jason was killed in a car accident. And so it was really difficult. It was difficult for me, and Jason was my friend. It was difficult for the hotel. And so I spent some time thinking about how much I was going to miss Jason saying, "Thanks for coming in today," and why. Why that? And what I landed on has really become the foundation of my entire leadership approach, is that every time Jason said, "Thanks for coming in today," to me, it made me feel like I mattered. And I think we all want to feel that way. We want to feel like we matter. We want to feel like we are appreciated. And so as a way to honor Jason, I started to say, "Thanks for coming in today" to my employees, to my customers. And I've been doing it now for, almost 20 years. And so that's really kind of the foundation of everything I talk about, whether it's employee experience or customer experiences. It goes back to people want to feel genuinely appreciated and feel like they matter. And so that can apply to both the customer and obviously the employee. So that's why the book's called Thanks for Coming In Today.
Well, Ryan, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait for the new book. And everybody should go read. Thanks for coming in today. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Success of a Hot Mess. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a beat. And hey, sharing is caring. Share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a dose of inspiration. Until next time, keep rocking those hot mess moments with style and grace. Cheers.